Gonna offer him best of 3. But if he beats me up, I'm not gonna do it. It's a little trick. Feel free to use that. It's just not on me. Queen 10 suited couldn't be much more of a straightforward call. We're going to want to have hands that call, hands that fold, hands that 3-bet. If we're ever going to have a calling range, heads up, it's hard to imagine a better hand than Queen 10 suited for doing it. Queen Jack, you could argue 3-bets for value. Queen 9 suited might find its way into your light 3-bet range if you're polarizing, depending on a lot of things. Your opponent, your image, your stack size, depth, you know. But Queen 10 suited, man, it's like the premier flat calling hand, heads up. 9-5 offsuit, real close between a call and the fold, but we'll take the flop. I mean, eventually we're going to flop something against this guy, and at least we're going to flop a flop texture that's good for our range. This probably hits us better than it hits him. God, it's just such a easy board to connect with. I think we'll peel the gut shot. Now gut shot plus pair, and it so it gives us more outs potentially in the form of another 9 or a 5. We've still got our gut shot, and I think we can really reasonably, credibly rep Queen Jack. I mean, we can also pretty credibly rep an 8. Wait a second, does he ever fold better or call with worse before I start trying to bluff him off this pot? Don't believe he does. I don't think he's going to fold. He may fold exactly a 10, but that's kind of a thin value target. I think we do better to check, give him a chance to bluff if he decides to do that, and call his bluff, maybe. I mean, he does rep an 8 pretty well. If he would bet an 8 on the flop, and that I really don't know. He shuts down on the turn. He's probably got enough busted draws into air that we can make the call. So there's a spot where he definitely would have not called had we bet, and he may even have raised and cost us the pot, but we just thought about his range and our own range and came up with a check call that made us some extra money. Some extra tournament chips anyway. Okay, he's tanking. And he does donk bet. Interesting. That's pretty wild. I think I've been c-betting pretty often. I don't think I've been doing a lot of checking back. I think we're just going to let him have that and be happy that he didn't check raises. Eight, 6 offsuit's a pretty easy call. Eventually, he's going to raise his pre-flop raiser. We're going to call, and the flop's not going to come 2 Broadway cards and a middle card with 2 of a suit we don't have any of, or some such. Bound to happen. Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding whiny, I do feel like I've been running pretty bad. The one time I had a flop, I could kind of play back at him on. He shut that noise down right away. We got him though. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything too exploitative. You know, this is a hand that would normally be in a polarized 3-betting range for me. But I want to 3-bet a non-0% of the time, and it just seems like I'm not picking up 3-betting hands. So we'll 3-bet bluff once and just get it through. We want to have a healthy 3-bet percent, because if we don't, we're not going to get value when we do 3-bet a merged range. And also, if we've not been 3-betting often, it incentivizes him to fold. So we could take hands like this that are cuspy, and we could 3-bet it again, and then kind of switch to a value merged range. But Queen 6 is probably good enough to just call. Another Ace Jack 3 type flop, which is pretty good for pre-flop raiser. Pretty bad for pre-flop caller, assuming he's 3-betting a healthy percent and folding some. Oh, what a gross thing. Not what we like to see. We 4-bet and we still have room to fold to a shove. Our hand just isn't strong enough to call. We've got the blocker and the ace, and if he does happen to call us out of position, it's probably not going to be the end of the world. Cool. We'll flat this. Wish I had a heart. Just even the 9 of hearts would make me want to peel this. I think we've got the best hand too often to fold. The thing that makes me sick is that I think he is pretty aggressive, and I expect he's going to bet a lot of turns and or rivers. But if he checks back, then I think we win the pot almost always. And we did have, 6 outs to improve to a hand that beats top pair. So we haven't called many flop C-bets, so I think all that added together probably made that a good bet. He checked awfully fast. This is a terrible flop for us, good flop for him, especially because he is 3-betting some, so I'd imagine that he's 3-betting his very strong hands. He's folding some of his worst hands, and that leaves him with a lot of stuff that looks an awful lot like that flop. I think this is one of the rare instances that I am just going to give up. You won't see me do it often. But like 8, 10, Jack, 2-tone when we don't have any of it. We got 2 undercards and not even a single heart. I think it's probably not even worth betting. And this is starting to smell suspiciously like a trap. I did pick up a gut shot. I think if we're lucky enough to bink into the gut shot, we get a lot of value from it. Now that's a card I can rob, not the flush so much. I think he'd expect me to bet the flush draw, but certainly I could be checking back ace highs. So if he checks, we will stab at this point. I make kind of a bigger sized bet to hopefully dissuade him from calling with whatever showdown value he might have been trying to get to showdown, like a 8x or a 5 that he picked up and elected not to bluff with it. Pocket whatever's, 2s, 3s. Yeah, I bet he had something that he was just kind of hoping to get to showdown, and maybe he sort of smelled the trap himself, because we have been c-betting pretty frequently. Keep saying I'm going to tighten up against the guy's open raises, but sucker for a bargain. What can I say? 3-1. Heads up. Kind of cards that sort of interact well together. He's been c-betting a very high percent, so I think we have to peel this. Just hope he shuts it down. Now we pick up a gut shot to go with our pair, so we're going to call again. I think. Well, depending on his sizing. Call half pot. So we have any 4, any 6, any 7, or I can call, he can check the river back on a brick, and we can win some of the time that way. Of course, we would much prefer him to just check back. don't think I have that many kings that check. I guess I can either turn my hand into a bluff targeting 8x and 5x, or with the jack if I make like a smallish bet. I don't know if that's enough value, I don't know if that's enough bluff targets. Because if he just checks back, we almost certainly win. I shouldn't say almost certainly, he could definitely have an 8. Let's see what he did in fact have. Okay, so he's not checking back his aces on a board like that. He's feels comfortable enough to check the ace high back, I guess, or else he just decided not to bluff. How sick. That is a big wager, sir. Really would have loved to see the turn card before deciding how much money I want to put in. I've got 2 overcards, top pair, flush draw, and some runner-in or straight potential. It's just too big an overbet. We'll have better hands than this. If we run into a bigger flush draw, we're like that. If we run into a 5, we're not near dead, but we're getting far from the right price. And we're barely a flip against like anything, so the implied odds were no longer a thing once he put all of his money in. I feel pretty obliged to make this call. I don't think it's the most profitable call in the world because it kind of requires that he doesn't bet the turn for this call to make any sense at all. And he's got to not only not have the best hand, not bet again, or not improve, but I think check calling a pair on a paired board is going to be the right play almost always, especially when we know he's c-betting like 100%. The problem, though, with this guy is he's probably barreling too often to make that call profitable. I think I ought to have folded. It feels probably a little weak when you check fold a pair on a paired board, but if you can never get your showdown value to showdown, then it's kind of like fake, like ghost showdown value. Yeah. I think I should have folded. We're just going to try to take this king high to right beyond the river. Yeah, and I think he definitely can have something like a pair of 5s. I think he would play this way. I don't think there's enough targets to bluff against. I think he's probably got king highs also, and just some air that decided not to bluff. I think I just don't think we've got enough incentive to make a bet. We win the same amount against his king highs, but checking back is, unless he actually picked us off. But if you're having anytime you're having a hard time deciding if your bet is going to be a value bet or a bluff, then you probably shouldn't bet when you're closing the action. We'll raise this. I think we can credibly rep a flush draw if a spade comes off, and we've got the 4, 5, 6, 7. So even if he calls, we've got some implied odds and some future bluff potential, future fold equity. Understanding what your improvement cards are and how they're going to interact with your opponent's range and whether there's implied odds, or also understanding what the cards that don't improve your actual equity but improve your perceived range, or the strength of your perceived range, can tell you whether you should be check calling or check raising in those spots. And, I think that was a pretty clear check raise. This is a pretty disgusting situation. 24 big blinds, he rips in, and I've got queen jack. I think most often he's going to have like a weak ace axe or a pocket pair that's an under pair, but I don't want to flip. I think I would have needed like an 8-5 suited, 8-4 suited might have been close. I don't think we're deep enough to call with any 2 suited cards. Yeah, and I think we can, did not see that coming. I think I'm pretty content just to take a look at the flop. Okay, we're not folding to a bet here. I'm trying to work out whether we want to check call or check raise. I think he's barreling too often to check and call. Going to be pretty gross if he rips it in. But if he call, actually a check call might have been better. It's a pretty straighty board where our implied odds might not be that great. Maybe our fold equity is better. Yeah, because our improvement cards are so obvious and transparent. Yeah, I stand by the check raise. I think it was the right play. Because it's going to be hard to get value now. And definitely this looks like a threatening board when we check raise it. When you don't have good implied odds, you usually have better fold equity and more incentive to go ahead and use the bluff portion of your semi-bluff. See, he folded right there, so yeah, it does tell me that it just kind of vindicates my point about check raising probably being better than check calling. Because when we check call, we're doing it for implied odds, and if he's not going to pay us when we hit, then the check call is probably not going to be real good. It'd be pretty sick if he jams, but I think we'll have to fold because he's probably under jamming, like he's not jamming as often as he ought to be. So we'll have to overfold our range, and he's probably not open shoving quite as often as he ought to. At least we've seen nothing to suggest the contrary, so this would probably be a call against an 8.8 big blind stack at equilibrium, but I think we can make an exploitatively tight fold. I think like King 10 offsuit, King 7 suited, probably I'm calling. We'll just rip this. I don't love it, but I don't know what else to do with it. I'm not going to fold it. I don't want to limp it and get raised. I don't want to make a non-all-in, like a min raise against an 8 big blind stack when it's going to be hard to call and sick to fold. So we can debate whether my strategic thinking is correct or not, but I am just kind of riffing, just saying off the top of my head exactly what I do think and feel. If we could just brick the river, fantastic. And how about that best out of 3, Bub, so we can make a nice little video. He declines the rematch. Oh well. So 35 minutes inside the head of Nav. Hopefully that wasn't too long to be inside Navinad's head. I would love to get some video footage sent. If you want to send me some footage, I'll take a look at it, and I'll go ahead and give you a free coaching session, just to, you allow me to put it up on my YouTube channel and do some advertising, and I'll do it for free. Maybe send me like an hour, and I'll go through and find like a nice 30-minute chunk and dissect that over, as slow as I am with those things, maybe over 3 30-minute videos, something like that. Until next time, guys, if you want coaching, look me up. If you got questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. Like and subscribe. Navinad, over and out.